question. Thank you, Suki. Obviously, there is something in dance and movement that can, in a way, translate these subtleties that we oftentimes can sense from the verbal sentences, like when we read the testimony. We don't only read the words, even if we don't hear the testimony, meaning if it's not a video, if we just read it, we can somehow sense some nuances there, some works of the body who is telling and reliving the story. So that's, I think, what I was kind of able to sense here. But I wanted to ask you how the dancers prepared for this. Because the context is really dense and really emotionally and bodily demanding in dance, and there were so many references, both historical and from Jewish life, and on shofar, and on different blessings. So I'm just interested in how you worked with the dancers or how they prepared for such an experience.
Well, you might have seen that it was produced partially by Texas Christian University, where I work. So I was one of the only Jews on the production. There was the woman who played the Polish dancer and her children. Those were the other Jews and some kids I knew from Hebrew school who played the little children. But other than that, everyone was a Gentile on the project. So I had to, and I would have done this anyway. I gave them a lot of information. I brought in a lot of books. I brought in films. I told them the story of my family. I told them, what inspired each scene. And then I also gave them some interviews. There was an interview with my grandmother. You could hear her voice in one of the scenes. There was a written interview with my mother that an actor from an earlier production had done with her. I gave them as much material as I could to prepare. And then as we did each scene, there was a lot of coaching. I would give them a lot of coaching, as you would an actor. So I hope that helps. Yeah.
I will help with the microphone if there is someone else.
A sort of connection with your work and the recent television productions about the fascism. The visual about the fascism, like locusts with this modern music, remember me there very recently a series of Joe Wright, M, the Son of the Century, based on the romance of Antonio Scurati, the very popular books of Antonio Scurati about the history of the fascism. Because also in M, the Son of the Century, we have this modernism in the music, this dancing representation of the fascism in movement, like locusts, is very, very similar. It's only a sort of collegation that they made with these two works.
I haven't seen that, but I will ask you for that reference later so I can follow up with it. Yeah. So Bojana, who's in the back, remembers the composer, a Serbian composer from Novi Sad, very well-loved, famous late composer, Mitar Subotic, who we called Suba. When he and I were working on the score, we wanted a metaphor for fascism. I wasn't going to bring an army of dancers in. I wanted a metaphor, and that's what we came up with.
Thank you.
So, yes.
Thank you. This is really enlightening how to do this narrative in dance and music and movement, body language. And the music is excellent. And I read that it says music Suba. Can you tell us who?
Well,
what?
Mitar Subotic, who was from Novi Sad. So I originally made the ballet here in Yugoslavia, when it was Yugoslavia, in Novi Sad, and the company, the People's Theater, actually it was of Serbia, the People's Theater of Serbia, not Yugoslavia, the People's Theater of Serbia. It was a multinational theater before the Bosnian War, and they had people from all over. Like Anna, who just left, was from Skopje, from Macedonia. It was a truly multinational theater. But they contracted a composer to work with me when I made the original production. And that was Mitar Subotic, who went by the name Suba. That was his pen name. And he was a genius. So he was a genius, and we worked together really well. So. Boyana. Different from the original, huh?
Are there some more questions or impressions? Verena.
Verena.
Yeah, thank you for introducing this way of expression to us. And I'm curious to hear more about if you talked to the performers about like how they perceive their roles and how they feel, if it changed their mindset also about the Holocaust.
Actually, we did some interviews afterwards. For archival purposes, we did some interviews to see how people felt having done this production. And a lot of them had not really delved into the history of the Holocaust that much. You know, maybe they read Anne Frank in school or something. But pretty much all of them felt very much more connected to the material. And I felt that it was really important for them to connect to their characters, but also find a personal connection. And that was part of the whole process of doing the wall at the end. I asked all of them to choose someone who was a victim of identity violence, violence having to do with who they were. And to choose someone who had meaning for them and to write their name on the wall. So that was part of their feeling like they had a personal connection to the story, as well as the connection that they were imagining as dancing actors. So there was a lot of personalization on that level. And I feel like most of them really are much more connected to the history of the Holocaust than they were before they did it.
Thank you for your your answer. And what's the question of space in the center of your reflection? Because it's wonderful done, the question of space.
The question of space.
Space and Holocaust.
I don't understand.
The question of space, because there is a very important point in Holocaust is the gestion of organization of space, so closer space.
So
and this question was the center of your reflection.
Do you mean the circle?
Yeah.
Or
circle and spaces were closer and closer for Jews.
Right.
So it's a center, as I can see, it says it's in the center of your reflection. It's very well done. I wanted to know if you read about something about the ghetto in Budapest or something like that.
I read a lot and a lot and a lot. I read. Do you have a question? Okay. I read as much as I could for years, and the question of space, of course, my mother talked about being in the cattle car. My mother talked about not having any room. She talked about the women holding each other up. So the idea that, the beginning, they have the whole stage, they have all the space, and then when they get to the deportation, they're crammed together. All of these things kind of just logically happened in terms of the choreography, I think.
Yes.
But I also, using a stage and a stage building as our world kind of gave me certain options, but kept those options limited also. Mm-hmm. So I was really working within the confines of what I had.
It's wonderful done in your show. It's wonderful.
Thank you. I think there's a question over here.
I wonder if you consider this movie as, or your movie, as a Holocaust movie.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I'm asking because of the end of it, that you dedicated the movie to the Israeli and Gazan children.
Yes, I did.
And I wonder about the comparison.
So my mother was an innocent child when she was deported out of Hungary and she was taken to Bergen-Belsen. When she was dying in 2017, kids were being taken out of the southern United States and put in cages and deported away from their parents. And my mother was waking up in the middle of the night saying that she was having nightmares again about having a knock on the door, and she was very worried about her neighbors. Of course, she did not live to see October 7th, but as the film progressed and after it actually first came out, and we premiered it 2 weeks after October 7th, but as the war continued and children kept dying on both sides, I felt like I had to acknowledge what was happening in the world. And the fact that children, innocent children, are the victims of the mistakes of the adults around them and the inability of adults around them to stop what's happening. I felt like I had to acknowledge innocent children dying.
Well, as a cinema expert, I mean, this is my topic. I couldn't see it. I mean, I saw it at the beginning, actually until the end of it, as a Holocaust movie. And I think the last comment was not connected to the movie itself, since we in Israel, probably in the world also, people who knows what's going on over there, that there's no connection between the Holocaust, not even to October 7, and definitely not to Gaza.
Well,
so that's a comment. I mean, of course, you can. It's your choice, and you are the creator, and you are the artist. Beside that, the movie could be very, very good. I mean, I like the photography, I like the choreography, which made very wisely. But this comment, I think it's a harm to enjoy the movie.
And that's, you are absolutely entitled to your opinion. As the daughter of a Holocaust survivor who brought me up to say never again for anyone, anywhere, children being killed in Bosnia, children being killed in Rwanda, children being killed in Israel.
Well, at the same time, there are in...
And the wall at the end of the film is filled with names of people all over the world who've been killed for who they are. Well,
if you were dedicated, like in general, to all the children that suffer from...
Well, at the beginning, we say we acknowledge all the other people in the world who have been victims of violence because of who they are.
Yeah, I mean in the dedication, because it's really out there.
And I stand by that dedication. And I know that some people will be angry about it. And I don't really understand how you can be angry about thinking of children who are dying on either side of a war.
No, we are not. And I will say it openly that I belong to the left wing of the left side of the political in Israel. But
it's not a comparison. It's both of the children on both sides are innocent and they are dying.
But no, I just want to say that it.
And the adults still haven't solved the problem, and the children are innocent. The adults, it's up to us. We're the grown-ups.
I think if to summarize, because the words are important, it's, of course, it's your opinion and your in your movie, and we just wanted to express our thought, but you do express a very universal attitude toward the Holocaust lesson, and that's taken me to the part of the evacuation of the ghetto. And when they are deported to, I guess, to Bergen-Belsen, if to lean on the personal story. And I don't know if it was in purpose, but it is present the universal lessons that it's something that looks very similar to a scene from the movie The Wall. Like the way they move.
The Wall? Pink Floyd's Wall?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to see it. It's like almost like perfectly similar. And it's amazing. I mean, if you had no purpose, but still.
I saw it maybe when it first came out, so I don't remember the
Yeah.
scene. Yeah.
What about the red point instead of the yellow?
So we got rid of the swastika and we got rid of the yellow star intentionally because the film was made to partially to show to young people who are very ignorant about the Holocaust. But I also felt like if it looked really old, that they would just tune out. They'd say, I've already heard this story. This happened long ago, far away. This has nothing to do with me. So I wanted to abstract it a little bit so it could be anywhere, anytime, which is also why the costumes are not period costumes. And in my research, in the Middle Ages, in Italy and in France, Jews wore a red circle. So that became yellow, right. They right.
Not only a circle,
Right.
square, triangle.
Right. So we took a circle and a triangle and we put them together and we created a symbol. And the production designer created a fascist symbol instead of the swastika.
Artistic wise, it was fantastic.
Thank you.
But I'm thinking about education. And me, personally, I'd like to tell the story of the Holocaust again and again and again, that young people will understand what happened. Or I would say, to what extent can a human being become, right? And I'm afraid that I couldn't use your film or whatever you call it. I mean, it's an art. For me, it's a piece of art. I couldn't use it these days because it's fiction. It's not the real thing. It's not the real thing. If they want, see the real yellow star, the real swastika, the uniform, the prisoner's uniform. I'm afraid that it will fall into the Holocaust deniers. That's what worries me. And again, I'm an historian of art historian. As an art, it's amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. But as an educator, again, I'm sure that they will misunderstand what you really wanted to present. Your approach is universal.
It is. Right.
I understand. Listen.
And the personal can be universal.
But I'm really, really afraid. Really.
When we take it into schools, we have a what we call a graphic program, which shows every scene, and it shows a picture of each scene, and then it shows what happens in the film. But then it has a paragraph that talks about the history of the Holocaust and what happened in in Hungary and in Germany, and it connects the fictional, if you will, representation with
But the Holocaust occurred not only in Germany or in Hungary. There are other places in Western Europe,
of course,
and Eastern Europe, you have to give. And North, yeah.
But I'm not trying to make a documentary. It's like saying that Guernica isn't really what, the Spanish Civil War looked like. But I will say this, that when we do take it into schools, we take in a very well-researched program that has, as I said, a historical context for each scene. And we have a series of articles written by people like Michael Berenbaum, which the students have access to. And he's a champion of this film, incidentally. So, it's a work of art. And therefore, it's not trying to be a documentary. There's lots of documentaries. And it's not trying to represent what happened everywhere in the world either. It tells the story of my family in my voice. And it's not for everybody. It's not. And it can't be.
That means you agree with me that you can't take it to every school everywhere. You can. No, I understood. I perfectly understand.
Well, the schools we take it to, they study the Holocaust. They read Maus. I mean, they weren't mice either, but they read Maus, or they read Anne Frank, and they get historical context, and then they participate in this, and they see a work of art. And some of them respond really well. Yeah.
It's more a comment. First of all, I agree that as a piece of art, it's fabulous and good for you. On the other hand, I must go with Batya's comment, and I'll go one step further, because as an historian, and by the way, my parents were also survivors from Hungary. Mm-hmm. And they had the Holocaust hardcore, very hardcore, although it was quite short, starting from June 1944. I'm not worried about Holocaust deniers, because those people resembles, in my eyes, after 40 years of educating and learning and researching and writing about the Holocaust, I would say those people, I don't worry about them, because it's like the person that stands in the zoo in front of the elephant with his son or daughter and he says, "Elephants? I've never seen such an animal, but the elephant is there." I'm not worried about it. Mm-hmm. But what worries me, and that's when your film worries me very much as an educator, those people who are dealing with relativation of the Holocaust. And then let's start to argue, are we talking about 6 million people? Are we talking about 600 people? Maybe 60 people? Maybe 6 people? Maybe the number 6 is not correct. And this is where I felt very comfortable with your movie. And the end was, for me, very, very hard, because with all due respect, the Jews during the Holocaust, as well the Roma, were not a part of any geopolitical conflict. Unfortunately, the children of Gaza, and they suffer and are still suffering hunger, etc., but it's a result of a political conflict, of a war. They are children, you are right. But what to do? Sometimes the children are part of the adults, and the adults caused a conflict. And it's very different. The children, the Jewish children and the Roma children had nothing to do. Their parents had nothing to do with any political conflict. And here is where I feel very uncomfortable as a scholar and an educator with your product. And unlike mice, which is taught in many schools, and there were comparisons between Jews and mice and rats, right? Here, I wouldn't touch it. I would strongly recommend my friends to watch it as a piece of art, but this is it.
I guess we Israelis react strongly, and I agree with the piece of art. and I didn't like the evasion or limchok, to the erase the symbols of the Holocaust. But I understand them, the universality of them. But then at the end, from all the children in the world who are being killed, it's just, it's almost, my feeling is very strong in the sense that of all the conflicts in the world, there's one conflict and one people who are targeted. And that's the truth in the world now. In the UN, the number of times that the UN has put Israel as the bad guy is uncomparable to any other place. And you do the same.
I mentioned the children of Israel.
No, you didn't mention the children. You mentioned the children of a conflict that is connected to Israel, and I feel very badly about it. Not only in terms of education, but it's always Israel is targeted. Yes, you mentioned the children of Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
the children of Israel are suffering too.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's again, Israel is targeted. That's my strong feeling. And the movie, I liked it so much as a piece of art. And every time I thought, well, here she misses, there comes the correction, where they're happy and then where they're praying. I can tell you where, but that is very, very, makes me very angry. Again, Israel is being targeted as the bad guy. And when you said the children of Israel, well, come on, compared to the pictures the world has seen of the children of Gaza, and how about the children of Ukraine, and how about so many children in the world, this makes me very unhappy. I don't know, it makes me very anti the whole thing. I can retrospectively enjoy the art, but I'm angry. Thank you anyway.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, again, the fact that we're talking about it, I think means that it had an impact. And we may not agree, but we have to keep talking about it, because this is our moment. This is the moment we're living in. And I am implicated as a Jew. As an American Jew, I am implicated in what's going on as well. And I know for the rest of my life, I will suffer more anti-Semitism because of the way the world sees this conflict. And all I'm saying is that the children are innocent. And I've heard other people in my own family say, well, those children are going to grow up to be terrorists. And that's exactly the sort of thing they said about Jewish children when they annihilated them. So children are innocent. I stand by it. I stand by my dedication, and I'm proud of it. And you don't have to agree with me.
Because of the comparison between Israel and Gaza, because people will automatically do the linkage. People will do automatically the linkage between Israel and Gaza, and will make the parallel between them, which is not true, not historically, and not the way things are going on. We should, when Badia said it's going to be a Holocaust denial, it's more than that. It's a denial of Israel right now, and we should be very careful. Although all of us are from the left, I mean, I don't think there is one of supporting of Bibi or the whole regime, but yet, as Jews, as Israelis, we ought to make the distinguish between what people are trying to do to us, to demonize us, the same as they did through the Holocaust, saying that we are monsters, we're doing this and we're doing that to annihilate genocide or apartheid or all sorts of mocking accusations. And we should make the distinguish between people who never asked, especially in this time of occasion, we never asked the war, we never wanted it, neither our children, and the war, as Lily said, was it you? No, Lily said, the war is a war. And people should understand that if they will, not only you, I mean, Now we are all over you, sorry. I will give you a hug afterward. But you, as an example, will give the legitimation of comparing between Israel and Gaza's days, which is not, definitely not.
Okay, Yakov, and then we have time for one more question, which will be Alessandro's. Yakov, are you sure?
Yeah, I think that we've discussed this point pretty thoroughly, and we can continue to do so after. Does anybody have something else to mention about the film? We can take this out and we can go at it over.
As an
Barat
expert
Spalinka.
about the cinematography of the Holocaust, I am totally in accord with Batya and Lily. This movie was must watch only like a movie, but about a use in a school must or not touched or touched little scene by scene with a strongly historical work that show the reality, but not only Hungary or Germany, all over. Because for example, the yellow star or that you put like a red star in this movie, not all over in the Europe the Jews put the yellow star. For example, in Italy they were not obligated to put the yellow star, not because the Italians were good with Jews, but for other motivations. And also in Norway, also in other Central Europe communities, not all. So it must be made a strongly work historical, not to make confusion between red, yellow, or comparison between Holocaust and Israel and Gaza. It is a very, very, very dangerous, this comparison for me. So only see this like a movie, but very, very attention if you use it in a school.
Well, as I mentioned, when we take it into the schools, we have some very historical materials that we share with all of the teachers and students to contextualize and to explain to them what happened versus what, I mean, they didn't dance either, you know. The Nazis usually weren't dancing, so.
They dance sometimes.
Sometimes they danced, right.
If they did.
I'm sure they were happy with what they did.
It's exactly.
Yeah, but not usually when. Okay, yeah, but you know, they weren't necessarily dancing when they raped people, so.
And they were raping. So if your kissing is raping, you can't dance at the same time.
Right.
Okay,
so.
I see all the topics are connecting here. Thank you so much once
Okay,
again, Suki.
Thank you.
Thank you for opening a part of yourself and showing it here. It is a huge thing. And thank you to the audience for very sharp and important remarks and questions. I think that is in a very context of every conference that is really trying to move some things. So we are finishing for today, but we are going to see each other tomorrow. We are starting at 10 o'clock tomorrow here in this same room. Until then, have a nice time in Belgrade.
Let's go.